Hey guys, it's Andrew Henderson from nomadcapitalist.com here in Singapore. Wanted to talk about a story that happened to me last night. Had a little fun outing. Wanted to share what I learned from that and how it applies to not only a friend of mine, but probably many of you who are watching who are trying to figure out how to get a second passport and maybe making one big mistake when it comes to choosing the right passport for you. So last night I met up at one of the nice five-star hotels with a colleague of mine. We've known each other as acquaintances for a while. He is one of the top citizenship experts and works for one of the big firms that helps people get economic citizenship. And it was fun because over Singapore slings and chicken rice, we had discussions that I can have with very few people because we both geek out on the visa-free restrictions of Lesotho citizens and how to hack a Guinea-Bissau passport to get more travel for your other passports and all kinds of other cool kind of geeky passport stuff. But we spent a lot of time talking about not only economic citizenships, which countries are likely to have economic citizenships in the future, one of which we've talked about here in a previous video, others that we haven't talked about, as well as which countries have kind of soft economic citizenship programs or the ability to get a passport through other means or very quick naturalization. And what's funny is that some of these are widely known in China. They're sold through Chinese immigration circles. Many of them are not known in the West. And these are the programs like Macedonia, for example. That's been talked about a little bit, where if you hire some people there, you can get a passport. But there are a lot of programs where they don't really want to promote it. But if you come as a Western citizen, or in some cases a Chinese citizen, and you make an offer to them, maybe they'll consider naturalizing you. Other programs where the residence window is very short. So this is stuff that people don't talk about, but it's all totally legal in the country where it happens. It's nothing about giving people money in envelopes, which we would never recommend. It's all totally legal stuff that people are already taking advantage of. And so that got me to thinking, because I was talking to a friend of mine today who lives in Malaysia. She's a citizen of a North African country, and so obviously she has not only some concerns about the stability of her home country in the future, but she has travel frustrations. She has to get a visa every time she goes to Italy to buy shoes. And recently, her issue was, you know what, I'm going to get a second passport. I'm going to start the process. And what she did is something that I told her, you know what, I think there's a better way to go about it. What her goal is to go and get a job in Western Europe, put in the time, pay the taxes, deal with the cold weather, deal with the bureaucracy, basically do everything that she didn't want to do so that 5 years from now she could get a Western European passport. This is something that I see a lot of people doing when they want to get a second passport and they've only done internet research or talked to friends and family, and it is conflating their lifestyle with their passport goals. When I first started talking to her about a month ago about this, when she was interviewing with some of these Western European companies, I sensed a great amount of conflict in her that she really didn't want to go to Europe. She wanted to stay in Malaysia. She liked Malaysia. And she felt kind of torn that she had to do it even though she didn't want to. Well, today she found out that she did not get the job that she was in the running for in Europe. And she said, you know what, I kind of feel a sense of relief. And I said, yeah, no surprise to me. I knew it from the beginning. Because I've seen and talked to enough people who are trying to get passports over the years that I've picked up not just on the need to plan, but I picked up on the emotional element and the conflict that exists in some people who try and do stuff that they don't want to do, and I realize it's probably a recipe for disaster. Because if you have to go and live somewhere for 5 years and you don't want to live there, your chances of giving up are probably pretty high. And if you don't give up, you're at least going to be miserable for 5 years, which if you don't have to be miserable for 5 years, why would you? So what I told her is, we need to sit down and we need to make a plan that figures out what you want, which could include staying in Malaysia. It could include, hey, I've got 4 weeks of vacation every year. That's all I can commit to living somewhere else. It should include everything that she has going on in her life, everything that's relevant, how much money she has, how much money she's willing to invest, everything. I said, we should sit down and we should discuss your entire situation, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, what you can do, etc. What kind of passport you need, what are the actual goals. And from there, we can figure out a passport that works for you. And you don't probably have to be miserable for 5 years to solve the problem. You see, so many people will come to me and they'll have read stuff online and they'll say, I don't want to invest or donate rather $100,000 to some Caribbean island. I'm not even sure those countries are stable in some cases, which I don't agree with, but people say that. And they say, so therefore my only option is to go and live somewhere, or at least to put in some of my time somewhere. And there's the issue. As I discussed at my meeting last night, there are programs where you can go and spend your vacation time every year living in that country. In some cases, perhaps you start a company that doesn't do much. In some cases, perhaps you open a term deposit and just wait for a while. In other cases, you buy some real estate. There are programs where you can get a passport, 6 months, a year, 3 years. Some of them require donations. Others do not. And these may not be Tier A passports. You're not going to be traveling to the United States on most of them. But if you have a problem that doesn't involve traveling to the United States, it may be what is a lot better for you than going and dealing with 5 years of misery, 5 years of expense, 5 years of taxes, whatever. And so people conflate the lifestyle with the actual end goals. This is why I think it's so important to have a plan that identifies what you want out of a second passport, because so many people also think that they need the EU passport as the replacement for the US passport, or they're from a Tier C passport country, therefore they say, I should just get the best passport. Well, no, maybe getting a Tier B passport more quickly and without a lot of work is what works for you. And so there are a lot more options out there that aren't widely talked about. Some of the countries, they don't want to say we're selling citizenship, but they have a soft policy of saying, all right, if you do this, this, and this, then the parliament will give you citizenship or whatever else. And this is what the guy and I last night spent our time doing, is figuring out, where can you legally get actual citizenship? Not a passport, because you gave a guy money in an envelope and you get some blank passport with your picture stapled in it. Where can you get real citizenship that will last for life, that's going to be stable? There are countries that are willing to do it. And so that's what I'm going to help my friend with. That's what I help others with. And I think that when you detach, and this works for so many other things in life too, we oftentimes conflate two different things together that shouldn't be put together. And then we end up with mediocre results for both. If the goal is to get a second passport, identify what you're willing to do, identify what you really need, and then eliminate stuff that you don't need from that process. Eliminate the need to move to Western Europe for 5 years if that's not what you need. For most people, it's not. For most people, it's a better solution. But most people have been sold there's only 2 ways to do it, which is either, 3 ways. 1, get lucky with your parents or grandparents. 2, spend a bunch of money that you'll never get back. Or 3, go and park yourself somewhere for a while. We've got a lot of videos here on YouTube about things like paper residency, paper citizenship, other citizenship programs people haven't heard of. And I think it's important that you know what you want going in and that you don't make this mistake. So definitely check out those other videos. Definitely subscribe, because we've got a lot more videos coming up on second passports, on the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle. And of course, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com and check out all of our resources there as well.